y'all doing tonight? Live here at Dr. Dorina Shine Podcast on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. Dr. Dorina Shine. So come on in. Tonight we're going to talk about paranoia, the definition, and how paranoia, intuition, and reality all merge together. So come on in. Come on in, everyone. Welcome TikTok. Welcome YouTube. Welcome Facebook. Are you on with this? Okay. Oh man, this is going to be a deep one tonight. We got Lofi in the house. We got Zeke the Wise in the house. Welcome. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Come on in. Join us here over at the live. Share this live. Thank you. And bring your friends because there's a lot of information we're going to share with you tonight. Lofi in the house. Zeke the Wise. And we're getting ready to start without further ado. All right, so we're going to take this right on over here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here on TikTok with us. We're going to get right into it. We're starting at 7 p.m. Okay, we're ready? TikTok, you know you're wonderful. You know you're my fam, right? We so appreciate you being here with us. You seem to give us the most views every 15th and 30th, and we really appreciate you. Okay, let's get this set up. Okay, there we go. Okay, you can fix that. You're the guy that does that. How's everybody doing? Zeke the Wise, how are you tonight?
Great.
Super awesome. Supersonic awesome.
Absolutely.
So how was your week?
My week was great. I got put in summer school, but I got out of it top A and top grade of my summer school class.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So is that setting you up for your junior year? What's happening with that?
Yes, that is setting me up for my junior year. They want to put me in accelerated class, but since I passed and got all my credits back, I don't think I need to go to accelerated class. So yeah, it's pretty good for my junior year. Made up all my credits. I'm going to check my GPA in a little bit.
So it makes sure that you stay on course, so then that way you can graduate with your class. That's good. Right. That's really, really good.
And I also have to have my GPA good, so then I can be above. I'm gonna try and hit above a 3.0. That's what I'm gonna try to hit. Because honestly, school is easy. Brandon, thank you for joining the live.
Yes. All right, guys, without further ado, we're going to get right into the Scales to Success LLC TV podcast with Dr. Dorina Shine and Javier. And I'm going to turn this down just a tad. It's very active. I love it. Zeke the Wise. So, what is tonight's topic all about, Javier?
Tonight's topic is about paranoia versus reality, the mindset difference.
So when you think about paranoia, what comes to mind for you? or anyone in the chat, if you are interested. I know a lot of people just sit back and listen to the podcast, but we really would love for you to interact with us. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So, what do you think when you hear the term paranoia? What comes to mind?
When I hear the term paranoia, I mostly think about insecurities, fears, portrayed emotions, but in reality, guilt, a lot of things like that. That's what I see in paranoia, because I believe paranoia is like how's the best way that I can say this? You know how when your body spots like something that's not supposed to be there, and then your white cells like basically goes to get it, whatever. It's like a paranoia is like a disease, kind of.
Okay. Well, we're going to go a little bit deeper into that, because for me, paranoia, I feel is a mental process that does break down the significance of what makes a person feel the way that they feel, the fear that they feel, the desperation that they feel. All that's very important. So let's look up the term paranoia. Paranoia Okay. Paranoia is an intense, irrational distrust or suspicion. So it's an intense. Now, that is the key that makes paranoia what it is to many. In the health industry, paranoia is looked at as a mental disease that creates unnecessary circumstances that become a reality to some because they fear it so much it becomes real. But the intensity is the level of paranoia. But if you take paranoia to the lowest frequency, now I'm not saying go low vibrational with it, but if you take paranoia and its definition to its lowest idea, it is very simplistic. It's more or less like, oh, I feel something, I hear something, something is not right. It's emotionally imbalanced. So that when it becomes intense, the paranoia, based on the way doctors and psychologists back, and we'll go over some of that later, but the way some of the psychologists defined paranoia, it was a mental illness. But if you think about it, intensity, irrational, distrust, and suspicion. That sounds like they needed to put schizophrenia with that, because that is the highest vibration that one can have when thinking about paranoia. The highest definition could be schizophrenia or whatever is beyond that, okay? But when you look at the term paranoia, when it is first discovered, you first have that intuitive instinct. I want to put that out there, that it's not as intense. But paranoia, over the years, have lost its definition of mental illness because it is a more distinct, rational perspective. That something is going on, a suspicion. So when you have a suspicion or you have a vital experience that says this is occurring, the only difference between paranoia and reality is that paranoia preconceives it, pre-thinks it before reality sets in and becomes it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so the definition of paranoia in and of itself is very vague. So a lot of people will feel that they're being disrespected when someone says you're paranoid. But in today's society, and I'm going to share with you how I did my research, paranoia has now replaced the term with intuitive. So intuitive is not as negative as paranoia. So what do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, that seems like the most definitive description of what paranoia is. I do believe that it's a mental illness because not many people have it. You know, it takes a certain step or a certain process for someone to even develop paranoia. And it's not just afraid of the dark kind of paranoia. Paranoia is something really, really hard that you have to deal with. You know?
The extreme. That's why I say schizophrenia and beyond. Now that's different. But when you use the term vaguely, as they used it in the pre-idea of paranoia, one doesn't just get there all by itself in one day.
Right.
It's a compilation of ideas, racing thoughts, overthinking. But it's also connected with the idea that the suspicion has them looking at something that they see. They see something. And they see something stronger than a normal person would see. I hope I didn't lose anyone.
Nah.
Because they see it differently. They see life in a compilation of events. And these events play out over time. And the more, remember the concept, the more we focus, the more the energy flows to that idea. That's what it is to me. The onset or pre-idea of paranoia. Now, reality is the hindsight. It's looking at what has occurred in the paranoid state and then making it make sense, because reality puts it into focus because it's factually based now. It's not just a pre-idea. It's not just a premonition or an idea that someone's following you. Reality says, yeah, you stop and you turn around and you see the same person, that becomes a reality. But people could have contacted the concept of paranoia long before that. But intuition comes in between that. You understand?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. I was going to say this earlier. Paranoia is kind of like an agent, you know?
Yes.
It's like something, not that you take, but it's something that can be affected by what you take. Like, say, I remember one day we was talking about Benadryl or something like that. You take too many doses of Benadryl, you'll start to hallucinate and see things. Now, whatever you hallucinate and see might not have anything to do with what you're going through or what happened in your own life. But tons of times, paranoia is developed from people who see these things, you know, but without, like, an agent. You know,
Yes,
without
like
the
Benadryl.
Yeah, like something that's not a fire starter, but it could be emotional, something emotional that may trigger the paranoia. Like it might even be, you know, a certain kind of catchphrase or word. You know, that's why I say paranoia is like a sleeper agent. It's there. Some people may never know that it's there until they deal with something very traumatic, and then that becomes a trigger. And then every time someone pulls that trigger, it's just like, oh, wait a minute. Now I remember that. Even if you push it way deep down. That's why I said paranoia is like a sleeper agent.
Yeah.
It just reanimates itself anytime it hears that certain kind of trigger or something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
why does paranoia exist?
and
Number one, paranoia is defined as intense, irrational. It can also be defined as distrust, and suspicion.
and we've gone over all of that. So, if there are any questions, please put them in the comment box. And let's move on to the next slide. Thank you, YouTube, for being here with us tonight.
Okay, where does paranoia come from?
Mm.
Right here we have a passage. Paranoia was created from ancient Greek writers, stated as a madness of mind, and in 1763, Carl Ludwig coined the term mental disorder.
Hmm. So remember back in the days of the Salem witch trials and how people were burned or hung at the stake to that practice witchcraft or whatever. They were reading tarot and different things like that, and they were looked at as being wicked for the society. But today, tarot readers are one of the strongest mouthpieces of the moment because they're uncovering those hidden truths, those things that may be evaluated if you sat back and you thought about them. So when you think about the precursor of, say, a mental illness, at that time they were locking people down to beds for hours and days at a time because they were fighting against whatever it was mentally that they were dealing with. It could have been a past life scenario. Nobody knew at that time when Ludwig was doing what he was doing and framing and coining the term that made people think that paranoia was something that, these people should be, unalived for having these mental health situations.
Right.
But today, paranoia has now been turned into a coin on the other side of schizophrenia, but the more basic side, you have intuition. And intuition is that thing that puts you into a perspective that you feel it before it becomes. And that could be a sense of paranoia too, because it's not actually reality yet. You see what I mean? So
Right.
that is a level. And so Ludwig was saying back then, it's all a mental illness. So anybody who thought that way was organized into this structure and they had to deal with that perspective. And that's why I don't really feel that anyone should judge another person based on a group collaborative. Everything should be individualized because each one of us are unique. You know what I mean? And some people have only used a small capacity of their brain opportunity because they've stayed in the box for so long. But one who chooses to think outside of the box and be creative and gifted and talented, we talked about this earlier, that creates a whole different persona for the person. And that is where I feel people should care more about the individual instead of just the definition. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. I most definitely agree. And that goes with terms on other different mental disorders. I know, like in the 70s, 60s, what's that one movie, Radio? Remember Radio?
Yes.
And he was like autistic, but people didn't know what he was, like what it was. Some people thought he was faking, some people thought he was just weird until they had discovered the term of like autism. But today I thought the word, how can I say this without coming off too rude? I'm not trying to offend anybody or nothing, but today I feel that the term autism is kind of taken advantage for, because when you think of autism, you think of someone that's, like you said, like with a mental disorder. Well, I think it
severely.
is severely.
They're severely.
Yeah, right.
That's the difference between paranoia and schizophrenia. It's a higher level of the situation.
Right. When I say that, I mean like they're handicapped. They can't make a decision for themselves. You can understand that there's something wrong. But if someone's just very exuberant or very outgoing, maybe a little bit too excited, okay, that's not really autism. Because like we have our own. I mean, we've met autistic kids before, autistic individuals, even adults. And they tend to have that kind of spectrum. While there is a spectrum, you know, like from 1 to 10 scale, whatever, you know. But yeah, I think you're right on that. Before they had coined the term, or before they even came to the conclusion, oh, what if something's wrong with this person? They were just treating it as witchcraft, like you said. They did all of them, like those things.
They organized it and structured it into a group, and they labeled it. They titled it.
Which I'm grateful they did. To be honest, that was really the most smartest thing they could do at that time, because at that point they were just killing people, just because they were different. I mean, just because someone's a different color than you, don't mean that they're evil.
Right.
It might be different or exotic, but.
But ignorance will do that. If you are unaware, you will really and truly believe in your mind that a color is a negative thing until you go out there and you experience it for yourself. You know, I can sit back as a young adult with children, and I look at my children and I say to myself, I'm not going to put a label on you, because I want to give you the opportunity in life to be who you are. You know, a lot of people will label their children just to receive a paycheck, or just to receive a governmental opportunity, and that's so unfair. And then all of a sudden, now the child has to live in this box, and that box is what creates that paranoia level, the level of paranoia. You know what I mean? Yes.
Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of things in my life at a young age. But one thing that my mother did was she said, no, I mean, just because you've seen it, we get counseling, we talk it out, we pray it out, but we're not going to put it where you have to be labeled. And I was a troubled child too, because of what experiences I had lived through, you know? And that breeds some things that just needs to be worked out with a good source, with a good group of individuals that are not going to try to take advantage of the information to make it seem as though one would be worse than what they really are. So,
absolutely.
Okay, what's the next thing?
Let's move on to the next slide.
Oh, that's all of it right there?
Yep.
Okay.
It was just like a paragraph.
Okay.
Let's move.
One thing I want to say too, paranoia makes it look unreal to low vibrational energy. So people who don't believe it will never understand it, and they'll say, oh, they're faking. They're not real. Because people have been so used to using the mental health card until now, those who go in with mental health issues are evaluated with a strong judgment.
Right.
So untrue, so unrealistic there.
Absolutely. That's why I didn't want to come off as biased. But when you self-diagnose, that's not, like, it's not factually proven that that's what you are. Now, just like you say, your mother raised you to be a stronger person. Some of us aren't strong. Some of us need attention. Some of us need support. Other people, I think what they do is get that label just so that they can have some attention or whatever. But if you need attention, that's what counselors are for. Not to come off as rude. But, this is just what I've seen from many other people. Because when you call yourself autistic, and then there's another really severely autistic individual, who knows? They might take the less autistic individual and put them and give them all the benefits that one severely autistic individual really needs. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Right. And that's not fair.
Thank you for the love, George Michael. Thank you for the love. Thanks for liking the live.
Yes. So, I mean, you're right. That is an amazing thing. I remember how people would view other people, even in college, if you had to go to college with a financial aid scholarship or something like that. The professor would look at people differently. You know what I mean? They would score them differently. They would And I noticed it. I observed it. So I know it was real. But let someone hear that story who's never been to college, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, she's paranoid. She just thinks that that's what happened." But when you have the sit down conversations with the actual student, and you're a student, they have no reason to tell you otherwise than what it is, you know?
Absolutely.
So reality comes with the fact based. Let's talk about facts.
All right. So here's our facts. In today's society, paranoia equals these two things. Well, intuition has replaced that term, stemming from subconscious pattern recognition, hypervigilance, and survival skill.
Mm. It goes back to the concept that when you have survived and you have become stronger than the box that society would like to put you in, now you either have to show up or shut up. So when you say, what was the last sentence that you just stated?
Stemming from subconscious pattern recognition,
Mm-hmm.
hypervigilance, and survival skill.
So survival creates the paranoia after traumatic events has occurred. Now the intuition is going to kick in and it's going to be like, wait a minute, I've been here before. I felt this before. I know this is like something is not right, but you can't put your finger on it. So then paranoia makes you look like you're insane at that time. And I remember being in college writing a letter about being insanity. You're inside of sanity. When you start questioning your circumstances, your situation, your community, why this is that and why that is this. But many a times it's looked at as a nuisance, a negative thing, because you're rebutting what everyone in the box is actually doing. And they're like, well, who are you? For you to get out the box, you get back in the box, Jack. You get back in the box and you stay here and you face it and you deal with it. Other than that, you're insanity. You're inside of your sanity.
Right? And that's what happens to a whole bunch of them people. You know, they get sent to the mental health institution and they don't even really belong there.
Right.
Just for the doctors to bill them for Medicaid or whatever their insurance is. I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on with that.
Right.
Number two, not to cut you off,
Okay.
the paranoia mimics processing, body signals, and stress, which resembles survival mode. That's exactly what I was talking about, how it's a sleeper agent.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So the representation of survival mode is what makes people stay up at night, overthink, create the worst case scenarios. And a lot of times, even the system in life system, can literally put us in a test that will determine how strong our mental state really is. And if we fall away and break during that test, we failed. And it's really sad because that is like bullying someone with a mental health issue already through the trauma they've experienced. And then now you're going to up the grade to just turn the heat up just to see if it's going to be enough to make them swelter. And that's very, very harsh. But when you live in that environment, you want to stay there. You want to be able to experience that and grow through it so that the paranoia will then become your intuition that is going to make that idea look enough conscious to you so it can become reality. But we got to be careful of what we want to put in our reality because, again, we are manifestors and creators of every circumstance that has come in our lives.
Absolutely.
Every single one of them. If you look back over any situation, we have manifested it through a thought, through a feeling, through a fear, through an ignorance, or through an incompetence. And that's what I hear in my mindset. There was a time where they said that if you're intuitive, you are, there's a different type. It was life is like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're going to get. What was the name of that movie?
Man, that's a good one. That is absolutely.
Oh
a
my
good
God,
one.
I forgot the name of the movie.
I'm pretty sure everyone understands that reference to where it
Yes,
came from.
check it out. Check that movie out. The Skeleton Key is another one where they have ancestors all through the house and they don't even realize that they've already passed over and their consciousness is still awakened in the place in which they resided. I mean, and some of those fictional movies are not so fictional. They're actually real movies. You know what I mean?
Based on a true story.
Yeah.
That's why I love my psychological thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're so interesting. There's one I want to go watch, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know yet.
Oh, Clark. Oh, Clark. Okay. So in today's society, we've discussed that. Now, when we talk about reality, in order for reality to exist, we have to hear it, see it, touch it, taste it, or smell it.
Mm-hmm.
If you live inside of a environment that is normal and another person across the way has never experienced that normalcy, and then they come in and they look at everything as this is weird. You know, it's kind of like you living on your ceiling. Okay? Everybody doesn't live on their ceiling. So when you come into a house and everything is set up, living on the ceiling, it makes you wonder, how do you do that? You don't judge them, no, but you do put yourself in a position where if they looked at you, they would tell you, don't ever come visit me again unless you bring your psychiatrist, because they live inside of their own sanity. And that sanity may look different to everyone, except for, of course, the majority that looks and thinks and feels and smells and tastes and touch the same way. But in today's world, it's a new, unique perspective. And this is where we are finding ourselves in 2026. What say you?
Absolutely, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Because P equals free idea and R equals hindsight. You know, reality is defined as factually based, conclusive, and after the fact. The hear it, see it, touch it, taste it mentality. Exactly what you were saying.
You have to have it in order to be in reality. In order for your premonition, your pre-idea, or your intuition to become real, and for others to know that it's real, you have to have this in a box. And is that true? Is that
true.
really true? Is that real reality? Or is that the concept of what everybody must experience in order for it to be real in everyone's perspective?
That is the absolute reality, because everyone's bound to have to do it. I mean, you can't just go a day in your life without working. You're going to have to work in order to make money. That's how the economy works. You know, that's how life works. You have to want it in order to get it. You can't just sit around and wait for it to float to you. You got to go out and get it. You got to be a persistence hunter.
Persistence hunter. Absolutely. That brings me to mind a Country Wayne skit I was just watching, and it happens to do with a man who has girls and he's raising his daughters to be accountable and responsible. But he has a relationship with an ex where he gave her $30,000 a month. And he just wanted to see what she would do. So he was trying to buy her and purchase her. And all he wanted her to do was feed him, cook him food every day. And he's a vegan, so he wants food in a certain type of way. And when he confronted the father of this daughter, who was getting paid $30,000 a month, Wayne asked the father, "What if I was your son and I was paying a woman $30,000 to stay with me? Wouldn't you?" And she wasn't doing what I needed her to do. to commit to where I want to be in order to keep her happy, you would say, boy, you a dummy. Why are you giving her $30,000 a month for that?
Right.
But because he raised his daughter to depend on a man, in his world, his perspective was crucially vital. That man is supposed to pay you $30,000 a month, and you're not supposed to do anything to earn it. You're just supposed to show up and be
this
there.
This is why I say parents should stay out of the children's relationships, because at the end of the day, not everybody's gonna agree with the parents agree with. Not everyone's gonna. Not the parents might not agree with what the other colleague is agreeing. I say colleague. The other, lover is gonna agree with.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, reality can come too late. What do I mean by that? Reality can come too late where paranoia involves the feeling and the intuition right now. It's the opposite of each other.
Absolutely. It's like coming to the realization. For instance, say if I was playing my games all weekend and postponing my 3-paragraph essay for Monday, strictly. The minute I go to school, I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot that essay. Or man, I was slacking on that essay. Now what? That's fear.
Which is
linked.
The paranoia.
Absolutely.
That you were already thinking about that while you were playing that game, like procrastination. Oh man, I gotta get on that.
Some people may be like, you know what? I'm just gonna play the game
and not
forget
worry
about school right now.
I'm gonna deal with that later.
Right.
And that later never
And they're
comes.
so focused on the game to the point you're not even thinking about the essay. You just on the game. You're enjoying yourself. Now, Monday, you're looking for the essay. You're like, wait a minute, I forgot to do that essay. Mm-hmm. That's the realization and paranoia. Because now you're getting like, what did she ask me for my essay right now? What if she calls me first? Javier, please come up here and give me your essay. Mm-hmm. Read your essay to the class. You never know.
Yeah.
That's exactly what my metaphor, what it is.
And that's how reality shows up too late. Without premonition, without intuition, or that paranoia, you would never know the severity of, oh man, because I used to get the gut feeling when I would want to go out. Yeah, I would get butterflies when I know that I have a 250 word essay or a whole final midterm. And I say, I'm going to go and hang out with my friend today, so I'll get to it. It'll bug me all the time I'm hanging with my friend because I know I got to get back to it. So that's my intuition kicking in saying, hey, you got to do something here or you're going to be... And that could lead to overthinking, which could lead to paranoia, which could lead to extreme, severe thinking about something when all you got to do is make a decision and do it. Okay, y'all, I'm going to go and kick it with y'all for an hour, then I got to get back because I got a paper to do. Mm-hmm. You see? But
that's where responsibility comes in.
Exactly. So all of these terms involve the difference between paranoia at the basic level and results and reality at the highest level, with intuition being in between.
Absolutely. And that's realizing reality as well, because you have something that you have to do. Mm-hmm. You can't spend too much time in la la land.
Right. I do the same exact thing with the way I raise my children. Now, a lot of times children will feel very angry at a parent for making them be responsible. And, oh, you never let us have fun. And, oh, it was all about, the control. And, oh, it was all about this and that. Well, guess what? It made you who you are today. Don't think that part of life didn't manifest from something through control and practice. And the difference in what control represents today is kind of like when a person says that my parent was controlling. All that meant was that you have rules and guidelines to follow. That's all it meant. And you didn't like it. And that is not a good way to grow and produce by blaming, because accountability is the difference where reality really will set in and show up for you. So reality can come too late, and paranoia involves the feeling and intuition. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the quote was, and I've been following this quote for a very couple days, and the quote is, "It really doesn't matter. That's why we're here." It really doesn't matter. That's why we're here. What does that mean? It really doesn't even matter. That's why we're here.
Don't dwell on it. Just be grateful that you can see it, and just be grateful that you're in the now. That's what I think.
And reality is in the moment. That's what has manifested. So, okay, let's get to our Q&As.
So Q&A. 1. Why does reality ask, why didn't you see this coming sooner?
You want to answer that?
Sure. Basically, reality is like our consciousness. You knew you had this to do. Why did you postpone it? Maybe that's regret, because you didn't do it. And number 2, what is your interpretation of paranoia versus reality? I believe my interpretation was the postponing scenario. I think that's the best way that I can explain it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when it comes to my work, I really get my work done. There's no need for me to postpone it because it's so easy to just get done. It took me a little while to learn about that. I had my stumbling issues. But that's my interpretation of paranoia versus reality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, Paranoia versus Reality. That movie I was talking about. It's called The Backrooms with Clark, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm just gonna give this a little short because I know we gotta go. But basically, Clark has his furniture store. He has a failing marriage. He was a little bit upset. He's got a lot of stuff on his plate.
Mm-hmm.
He finds his place, and it's just the abstract of his own insecurities. It's an abstract of the people he once knew. It's an abstract of things he likes, things he doesn't like, and he finds peace in it. He finds peace instead of the real world in this fake world, so he finds peace inside of his paranoia. To the point, and it's to the point, he finds so much peace in his paranoia to where the entities inside of that fake realm don't even harm him.
Wow.
Because he's basically he's like on a link that is so established with the complex of just paranoia itself. He's so fine with it because in the real world he doesn't want to go back. He's happy here because no one can judge him. He can do whatever he wants. He's basically the king of the island. And literally, no one is supposed to be that okay inside of that place. But
it's living inside of the box that was created.
Absolutely.
Within yourself or society that makes you most comfortable, and everything can happen to you. You can get abused and you're in the box. You're staying in the box. You can get, yeah, I get it.
But the craziest part is he had a sit down with his psychiatrist inside of the fake living room, dining room in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the psychiatrist's name is Mary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, Clark, why don't you come back to the real world? He's like, I don't want to go back. I like it here.
And we can't make him come back.
And another thing is, he said, in a long time, it feels like I'm actually somewhere that I belong. And I want to stay here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then it's to the point that, okay, the backrooms redo. So think of that as this. The backrooms is like a big old MRI machine, right? You walk in it, it scans you, and it basically saves your whole image, right? It's like a sentient living space. The minute you leave, it'll reduplicate a fake version of you, but once it misremembers you, it makes you too tall or too lanky, whatchamacallit, whatever, right? Clark was so in connection with that place to the point his still life gained its own consciousness and started actively chasing down Mary, right? So as they're talking and he starts collapsing, the entity walks in on them, right? Clark thinks he's running the place. He's like the entity 9 feet taller than him, and it's crazy because it's actually a copy of him in his failed commercial or whatever, and they call him Captain Clark, whatever. And it's towering over him, and he's like, "It's okay. We don't have to change. You know, we can be who we want to be here. It's just the way that we're wired, right?" And the entity picks him up, right? Now Clark thinks the entity's about to hug him, right? Oh, he was wrong. He thought he was running something. That entity.
Don't tell the whole story.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure everybody pretty much watched it. But I guess you guys can figure out the next next picture.
But the thing we're talking about, to tie that to the conversation, because I understand exactly where you're going.
That's just my second interpretation of paranoia versus reality. To the point to where you collapse so much, or the point to where you got too much on your plate, and you just like, man, I don't even want to go back.
Right.
That's like being all the way into the point where you playing that game too much. You can't even figure out, oh man, I got work tomorrow. I got this.
But I gotta be in it. When you go to the casinos, I gotta be in it. Man, I'm gonna play one more slot because I'm gonna win that million with this last one thing.
Because if I don't win this 1 million, I'm gonna be so broke, and I won't have nothing else. I gotta buy this lottery ticket. You know, I gotta get my next fix. Something like that, right?
And that's where it goes. Success breeds results, and pleasure breeds.
Oh, man. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Pleasure breeds
addiction.
Yes.
Addiction. You can't love something so much. You have to have an equal balance of paranoia and reality. Because if you don't have an equal balance of paranoia and reality,
you would never know if somebody's following you. You would never know if you were in fear or fight or flight response.
And I believe the lesser version of paranoia is awareness.
Yeah.
Because when you're aware, you're more, you're not paranoid, you're just being aware of your surroundings. Absolutely. But when you're to the point, you did some dirt, and now you think somebody after you, you're like, who that moving? You gonna be in the car all the way, back like this. Yeah.
Right.
But number 3, when is it time to seek medical attention regarding paranoia? My thoughts are when you start feeling too comfortable in places you shouldn't be in, like Clark, or when you know something ain't right. This place around me don't seem too beneficial for myself. The people around here aren't like me.
Right.
You know, I'm feeling kind of distressed. I'm feeling like I need someone to talk to. That's when it's time to go get you some medical attention. Absolutely. Go talk to a counselor. Go talk to a loved one. If you don't got a loved one, there is 211. You can talk to them as well. Things like that. You know?
Yes, and you're never alone.
Absolutely.
And believe me, even if the harshest lesson in life could make someone fall to their knees, that's still a lesson that will show up in gratitude and create an intuitive perspective that will result in a true reality being noticed from that. Absolutely. And that's what I'm going to continue to keep, saying.
Absolutely.
So the judgment.
And the takeaways.
The judgment is judgment. So regardless of who is watching, studying, getting the data, they're not in the scenario. So they can only observe it to the degree where they can try to make sense within their own reality of what this is that's before them. But if they haven't experienced it, the best way to get to to make sure we don't judge is to ask the questions, the hard questions, the scientific questions. Because that's where we're going to be aware of those we call crazy or insane or paranoid.
Right.
Because there's a lot of individuals within the war who has served in the military that has come home after seeing an entire war land field. Ahead over there, a leg over there, their best friend blown to pieces. And in their reality, what does that feel like? What does that look like?
When you see some things you would have never ever thought you'd ever experience, that's when you know you got to talk to somebody.
Got to. And don't be afraid. And I was one that was like, oh, I need to talk to somebody.
Don't be ashamed either, because if you need to talk to someone, it's the best thing that you could ever do. It's just expressing yourself, getting it off your chest. Don't let it sit on your chest to where it'll cloud your heart and your judgment.
And that intuition is going to tell you who's telling you the truth and who's lying to you. Sometimes we can be in that paranoia, like I was in that paranoia where I heard the voices. Okay, but the voices was the very thing that kept me in reality. Because when you are laced with a type of drug that you've never experienced and you start playing with that energy, it's a big situation. And it's something that should not be played with, ever. So with that, the takeaways.
Okay, so number one, use both intuition and reality as a balanced tool. And number two, when your emotions kick in, ask yourself, why?
When your emotions kick in. Now we're dealing with emotion. You know that song, H-Town, emotions make you cry sometimes. Emotion makes you, yeah.
That even made me think of the one Jay Dilla song, Why?
And what's next?
Next is music.
Awesome. Thank you, Zeke, the wise.
Absolutely.
Your music in the background, super awesome. Kept the vibe high, kept the energy strong. You're doing wonderful with your concepts or your thoughts. And when you put your music into the atmosphere, that is so awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. And it was crazy because we was just listening to music on shuffle, and then mine came on. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. Of course it is. It's mine.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yes, we thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Yes. Okay. Facebook, YouTube, Dr. Dorina Shine. Check me out on Google. Also, we will be going live with Tabula Rasa Incorporated, which is our nonprofit organization. New, upcoming. We shout out to, Marcus. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Mercy Health.
JR.
Shout out to JR, our newest. Oh my goodness.
And our second division, the Columbus
chapter. Shout out to you. Scales to Success LLC TV. Without you, this would not be possible at all. Admissions department, Renee. So many wonderful people. Shout out to SB for being who you are and standing up and being strong through your situations. And with that, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, we love you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Nice.
You want to take it out?